play, and then it has to meet a certain threshold for my office to be involved for it to be a sealed bid. And I believe this would be a sealed bid, but, you know, that is not ultimately up to me. But if it is a sealed bid, it is received in my office, kept in a folder, and then they are opened by myself and my deputy clerk, and no one else.
Is that when those are open, is that public?
Public, yes. The vendors usually show up, ask where it's being held, typically here. Typically, we're sitting right where, or probably where Lindsay and Dr. Daniels and Councilman Rose are. And we open the bids with the departments involved and purchasing.
Councilman?
I certainly didn't say that they would be open. I was asking if they were going to be done in a different way than we normally do them, because this is out of the ordinary. From all the years that I have been here, council doesn't prepare RFQs, number one. Number two, we had a work group that was established to go over all the parameters and talk about them and come up with some ideas for the purchasing or suggestions to the purchasing department, which is, I believe, how it's done. So I don't know why one council person would think that she's more qualified than the people that are in the work group, meaning the purchasing department, the police, the fire, the people that use the services. So third, we were given a deadline, and it was my understanding that the purchasing department did meet the deadline, because I called and asked if a RFQ was created. So why aren't we using the purchasing department's RFQ instead of a lone council person's RFQ? I don't understand that. And I was going to ask Mr. Plato to speak about that, because I don't understand. I just don't think this is a good idea for us to present it this way. So it leaves us wide open for things. I mean, why can't we just go through the normal process and have the purchasing department bring it to us? I mean, why do we have to involve ourselves and think that we know? I wouldn't begin to think that I know more than the departments that are using the services. Why would anybody think that they know more and not rely on the work group for submitting suggestions, have it go through the proper channels? Why are we opening ourselves up to this? It's not a good idea.
Mr. Plato, do you want to comment?
Just briefly, it is my understanding that there was a towing work group that was working with the police department and the purchasing department to put together what they thought was needed in an RFQ. I have not seen it, but my understanding is that RFQ has been created by the purchasing department. I know the Councilwoman Winton was a member of that group at one point, and she has elected to bring her own RFQ to the council. And I don't know there's anything improper about the council discussing this proposed RFQ to see if they like it or if they don't like it, if we want to add or subtract something from it. But the city's purchasing policy requires that an RFQ will come from the purchasing department and obviously not from the city council. City council's input into the towing contract would be when the bids come in, those will be provided to council, and council decides on who they want that contract to go with and ultimately approve that contract. But that's the process that comes from the RFQ comes from the purchasing department, and then it comes back through the bids when they come in to the council.
Is there any further discussion?
Chairman?
Mr. Johnson, and then
So, almost 25 years, this contract has not been rebid. This, to me, is a template that the mayor would look at, his chief of staff, and our core council to put out an RFQ. We promised that we would do something, and it's being fulfilled. I haven't seen anything else from purchasing or from the work group. So I think this should go forward, and our RFQ final version be with all these suggestions and suggestions from the other group. This is all working together. And like I said, 25 years. We bid out we get people complaining because we don't bid things out every 6 years. let's just get it out there. And here's very hard work right here in this RFQ.
Is there any further discussion? Councilwoman?
So I had emailed this to everyone on council, and this was the discussion from the work group, and it wasn't just the minutes, these were our discussion points. There was no minutes taken. So where does this take us? So I mean, everyone agreed that we should bid it out. So we're bidding it out, why are we going away from the process? And why wasn't another RFQ from the purchasing brought to us? Why, or is that not how it works? Could someone explain the process to me?
Mr. Chair, I'd be glad to. So, you know, when Mr. Johnson asked me roughly 6 months ago, Mr. Mayor, when will we have an RFQ ready to go? I said August. Okay, it's August. I put together a work group, asked for recommendations. I put multiple people on there. I thought it would be a good opportunity to get different ideas from different people. Fortunately, I mean, everybody worked hard and stuff, and but you know, sometimes schedules got in the way, things happen, but got a lot of good feedback. At the end of the day, that work group was to get me what they thought was good ideas to put in an RFQ. So I had also took it upon myself to kind of go in and start doing a little more due diligence from basically from other RFQs that we have put out in the past. So at the end of the day, I have an RFQ ready to go. I decided to wait because I wanted to see what Mrs. Winton submitted. I kind of went through it and I thought there's a lot of good things in there. There are some good things that the work group put together. There's some good things. So I'm going through the process and it's going to have some of both in it, but that RFQ is going to go out from my office to budget and finance, probably within a week.
As it should be.
And that's the way it's going to be. And then I'm going to put that RFQ out. It will turn into an RFP, and ultimately, you guys will make that decision on the total.
Thank you.
That's the process. I'm going to have Mr. Plato look at it just to protect us down the road. But I said August, and I'm going to fulfill what I said. And there's going to be an RFQ, which will turn into an RFP, and we will have a total hopefully within the next few months.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there any further discussion?
Chairman,
Councilwoman Wood?
I just want to make a statement. I put a lot of work into this. I don't think that I know any more than any one person, but I do know how to research. I've FOIA'd well over 15 different contracts from counties, from cities. I've read them, I've studied them, I've talked to their purchasing departments, I've talked to their police departments. No, I'm not an expert. We make a lot of decisions on a lot of things up here that we have to research and educate ourselves. So I've never said that I know more than anyone. I have put the work in though. I've done a lot of research, a lot. And I put this together because we were up against a timeline. And I don't really like the accusatory statements of, I did, and I admit it, I'm not hiding anything. I called specific places. I asked a series of questions. Councilman Johnson can attest to that because him and I talked, and he did the other one, so it wasn't me calling all of them. And it was, again, to get very basic information on the services they offer. Do they do the auction services? And it was just to make sure that there was an adequate pool of vendors to choose from. That was it. Nothing nefarious about it, nothing wrong about it. It's doing the work. Everything I've done, I have no problem discussing in the open forum, but to be accused of something I think is improper. And that's all I'm going to say to it.
Through the chair,
Councilman Johnson?
can we, is it proper to change the motion to approve the RFQ to be submitted to the mayor's office?
The motion is currently presented as